Well, hello, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we'll be doing something else than we usually do, but I thought I'd help everyone else by helping them choose the 5-star that they want. As you guys saw in the recent 5.0 live stream, they've announced that they'll be giving away a free standard 5-star every year, and I thought, well, I want to help out my community and anyone else who watches this video. So today I'll be letting you know why you should pick one of these characters, and hopefully it helps you pick a character a lot easierly. For now, let's start with the first 5-star. So let's start off with Tighnari first. Tighnari is one of the most recent characters and probably one of the strongest as well. He's a Dendro bow DPS and does charge attacks to deal damage. Even with a 3-star weapon, he is able to clear the abyss, and he's also very easy to build, since if you're lucky enough you can get his artifacts from boss drop, because most of them drop the Wanderer set. He's a very easy and fun to use character and can do a lot of damage by just a little amount of investment, so that's always good for new players. His teams are also very free to play friendly, so for example Fischl, Noelle, Layla and Barbara for added hydro. But if you have Nahida, he does even better, so if you have her, use her with him. You can even use Farina for off-field hydro, and then you can use Fischl, but then you'll have to be good at dodging so you don't get hit. That's why I'd recommend playing him with the shield. Now his cons: C1 gives him 15 crit rate, which means you can build a little bit less on the crit rate and still do a lot of damage because of the C1. And then C2 gives him 20% danger damage increase if the enemies are in his field when he presses his elemental skill. So basically, when you press the elemental skill, you'll see a green field on the floor, and then if the enemies are in it, he'll get 20% extra dendro damage. C3 is just a normal talent upgrade, so nothing really that useful right now. And then C4 will give him and your party 60 EM once Tighnari ulted, and when you trigger Bloom, Quicken or Spread, then you'll gain an extra 60 EM on top of that, which basically means you get a free 120 EM just by bursting on him. And then C5 is another talent increase by 3 levels, and then C6 makes his fire rate 0.9 seconds faster and gives one extra arrow that deals 150% of Tighnari's attack as damage. So if you want a strong and fun to use character who is also Dendro, then I'd recommend you pull for Tighnari, because he's a great character to use with little investment. He's still pretty strong. 3-star weapons work great on him. Yeah, he's very free to play friendly, so I'd recommend you pull for him if you want to go with the easy DPS to build. Next up we have Keqing, a quick and great electro DPS. She might be one of the older characters, but is still a great DPS even at this point in Genshin. With the release of Dendro, Keqing got even stronger, since you can now do aggravate and spread with her, which basically increases her damage by a lot. She's an electro sword user, is pretty easy to build as well, and her main set is the Thundering Fury set, and if you're an older player, I'm sure you have a lot of this set lying around. She's a strong electro DPS, and if you pair her up with any Dendro character, she'll be even better. She works great with characters like Cole, Dendro MC, and the best one of course, Nahida. She's a very fun character to play, since you can just almost dash around with her, I guess, with her elemental skill, something like that pretty much, and its cooldown is extremely low, so you can do it so many times. For her constellations, C1 gives her an AoE increase, and if you don't know what AoE means, it stands for area of effect or anything of that matter. C1 however will make Keqing do 50% of her attack as AoE electro damage. C2 is just for getting particles fast, so when you normal attack or charge attack enemies affected by electro, you'll have a 50% chance of getting particles for your Keqing to be able to ult even faster. C3 is just an ult level increase. C4 however gives Keqing a 25% increase on her attack when she makes an electro related reaction, including spread, all of those. C5 is just an elemental skill level increase, and C6 lets you gain 6% electro increase when normal attacking, charge attacking, using an elemental skill or bursting. Altogether, she's definitely still a fun and worthy character to get, and I definitely recommend her if you want a fun and strong electro DPS for your team. The next character we'll be talking about is Diluc. He's an incredibly strong pyro DPS with the release of Xinyan and Farina. He's not the easiest to play or the most F2P, but he can definitely still do damage when F2P. But if you pair him up with Xinyan and Farina, he can do insane amounts of damage. My Diluc unfortunately was not on the base build, but let me show you an example of his damage with Xinyan and Farina.
Wow, 250k plunges. Ha! Diluc's so bad. Ha! Yeah. Definitely his best team by far. It's not even close. If you play another Diluc team, I'm laughing at you.
He's an insane pyro DPS, and once paired up with the right team, he can clear the abyss 100% easily. For his constellations, with Diluc's C1, he does 15% more damage to opponents whose HP is above 50%, so pretty much you get a free 15% of damage for half of the fight. C2, however, gives him a 10% attack increase and a 5% attack speed increase, which means you can attack faster for 10 seconds when Diluc has taken damage from an enemy, and on top of that, it can stack up to 3 times, meaning you can get a 30% attack increase and 15% attack speed increase for 10 seconds, but the effect can only trigger once every 1.5 seconds. C3 is just an elemental skill talent increase, but C4, however, will give you a 40% damage increase for the next 2 elemental skills after the first one. So basically, when using Diluc's elemental skill, you have 3 attacks, and once you use the first one and wait 2 seconds, the second one will have a 40% damage increase, and if you wait another 2 seconds, the third one will have a 40% increase as well. C5 is just another ult level increase, and for C6, after using an elemental skill, the next 2 normal attacks will have their damage and attack speed increased by 30%. But don't worry, doing the second and third attack of Diluc's elemental skill won't interrupt the damage increase or attack speed. As you can see, Diluc is an insane pirate DPS, and if you put enough time and investment into him, you have a lot of fun plunging and doing insane amounts of damage. Whoa, hello. Sorry about interrupting the video, but I just wanted to ask if you could consider subscribing. I really want to hit 10k this year, so I'd love it if you could subscribe. And maybe if you're enjoying the video, even like it. And now let's get back into the video. Our next character will be Jean, a great anima support who can heal and provide a damage increase for your team. When using your ult, she gives team-wide healing and helps your team get buffs on the right artifact set. The Very Distant Venera set removes 40% elemental race to the element you swirl, so basically your hits can do 40% more damage if you're using the element that you swirl. For a constellation, C1 makes it for when you hold Jean's elemental skill for more than 1 second, then you'll get a 40% damage increase for her skill. C2 is when Jean picks up an elemental orb or particles. Your team's movement speed and attack speed will increase by 15% for 15 seconds. C3 is just an elemental skill talent increase, but C4 is great for characters like Zhao, Wanderer, or even Hazo because it decreases anima resistance to enemies by 40%, meaning you'll basically do 40% more damage with anima characters. C5 is just another ult level increase, but C6 makes it so that when you use Jean's burst / ult, you'll take 35% less damage in her ult, and it lasts for about 10 seconds or 3 attacks. Altogether, Jean is a great anima support and can provide great buffs for your team and debuffs for enemies. In my opinion, I'll probably be getting her since I don't have her on my account yet, but I'm not too sure of that. Next up, we have Mona, a great off-field Hydra support. Probably one of the most used characters out of the standard characters and helps people hit huge amounts of damage. She's great for applying Hydra, which essentially means she helps you vaporize and do other reactions like that. She's great for characters that hit big numbers at once, and the best part is she's a Hydro catalyst, meaning you can use the best catalyst in the game on her. Thrilling Tales. It gives 48% attack buff for your party. It's great for DPSs who scale on attack. For constellations, C1 makes it so when an enemy gets hit by Mona's elemental skill, it will enhance the next few Hydro reactions. For example, Electrocharge by 15%, Vaporize by 15%, Hydro Swirl by 15%, and the frozen duration on enemies lasts 15% longer. For C2, when a normal attack hits, there will be a 20% chance for an extra charge attack to happen, and this effect can happen every 5 seconds. C3 is just an ult level increase, and C4 is one of her better constellations, because when enemies are affected by Mona's elemental skill, your party members will gain a 15% crit rate increase against those enemies. C5, however, is just another elemental skill level increase, and C6 makes it so that when you use Mona's dash ability, she'll gain a 60% damage increase for her next charge attack for every dash you do, and she can gain up to 180% damage increase for the next charge attack. Although you gotta do it fast because it only lasts 8 seconds, but altogether Mona is a great Hydra support and will help your team get some great buffs, and she's definitely still a worthy support. Next up, we have Dehya, the most recent 5-star they added and one of my favorites as well. She's not as strong unfortunately, but she's such a fun and amazing character. She's a pyro DPS and you can also use her to give you some damage resistance. Since her elemental skill makes you not be able to get hit for a few seconds, you'll still take damage but you won't get knocked down. She does need a lot of investment to make her a great DPS unfortunately, but at the end of the day it's definitely worth it, and if I had all the standards I would definitely go for a Dehya constellation. But for now, her constellations. C1 makes Dehya's max HP increase by 20% and she'll gain a damage increase with her max HP. Her elemental skill gets increased by 3.6% of her max HP and her burst gets increased by 6% of her max HP. C2 makes it so that when you use Dehya's elemental skill, the ring on the field will stay 6 seconds longer and the next coordinated attack will be increased by 50%. C3 is just an ult level increase. However, C4 is for when you use your burst, she'll regain 1.5 energy and 2.5 of her HP every 0.2 seconds while in her burst. C5 is of course just another elemental skill level increase, and C6 gives you 10 crit rate on her burst, and if you hit a crit with Dehya's elemental skill, you can get crit damage boost every 0.2 seconds and can go all the way up to 60 extra crit damage. C6 Dehya is honestly a great, and I really wish that I could have her at C6. She's such a fun character to use, even if she doesn't do millions of damage. So if you enjoy her playstyle, then I definitely recommend you go for her if I were you. Next up we have Qiqi. Unfortunately, if you were looking for a full part of Qiqi like the rest had, then you're in the wrong place, because I despise Qiqi, okay? For the pain she has caused me, I do not like her. But she is still a decent cryo support who can heal. If you want to know more about her, I'd recommend you go check out a guide, because my Qiqi is only level 1, so yeah, I can't be much of help. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope it helps you pick who you want from the 5 stars. So please let me know in the comments if you like this type of content and if you think we should continue with this, because honestly this was new for me and I'm not too sure if I should continue with this content or not. So please do let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.